All right, I'm back with another weekly forecast. This forecast is for the week starting September 8th. All right, before we get to the charts, I just want to quickly go over the news for the week that could impact volatility in the market. So we are on forexfactory.com. You can see for Monday and for Tuesday, there is no red folder or even orange folder, which is medium impact news. Then we get into the heavy hitters, which is PPI and CPI for the week, Wednesday and Thursday. Also, unemployment claims on Wednesday. And we end the week on Friday with preliminary consumer sentiment. Not saying it isn't important, but for sure expect to see volatility in the market based upon the PPI, CPI, and unemployment claims numbers, because there is the Fed rate decision coming up soon in the month of September. Actually, let's just see. Okay, yep. So the week after PPI and CPI, that Wednesday, September 17th, the Fed will announce what they plan to do with the interest rates, whether they will increase them, decrease them, or keep them the same. Market is betting on a decrease in the funds rate. So PPI and CPI will play a role in the Fed's final decision. So yeah, definitely expecting to see some volatility this week as a response to the PPI and CPI numbers. All right. Forecast is going to be really quick because I feel like the market is just showing us that it's waiting for the Fed funds rate. So we are on the 1 week chart for NASDAQ, and I will add a couple of key levels. So this is currently our all-time high. We also have previous week's high here and previous week's low. And you can see at previous week's candle was an outside candle. That just means it took the high and the low of the prior week's candle. You can also see that the week prior to last week was an inside candle, which means it did not take the high or the low of that week's candle. And this week was a outside candle as well. So to me, this is just showing that the market is indecisive right now. It doesn't know if it wants to go up or down. I would say it is holding the lows, not showing for sure that it wants to go lower. I mean, we have candle wicks, but the bodies are closing above the lows. And for a previous week's candle, the body did close above the candle's body for the prior week. So uh, very slightly leaning bullish just based off of candle anatomy for last week's candle. We do have all-time highs, and the only other thing I see on the weekly chart would be a unmitigated fair value gap, and that just means price has not retraced to this fair value gap yet. So I'm going to mark that out. Okay, so there's always the potential that something could help drive price down into this fair value gap, and maybe price responds from there and create new all-time highs. We do not know, but those are the scenarios that I'm seeing as possibilities right now. And then quickly, I'll just go over the daily chart. This candle right here represents Friday's close. Not a great looking candle, very indecisive wicks on both sides, and actually the wicks look to be about even. So again, it's confirming the indecisiveness and that the market is waiting on something to help it to pick a direction. One thing I am noticing is that for Friday's candle, it did come up and it took out some liquidity before closing back inside. So that to me gives me more of a bearish sort of sentiment, at least for Monday. But again, there's no news on Monday. The market has been doing what the market wants to do. So even though there isn't any news, and obviously the market is waiting for PPI and CPI news to release, I I would say there still could be some decent movement between Monday and Tuesday on the charts. So I'll just be keeping my eye out and looking to see what the setup, if there is a setup, a clean setup, if price looks like it's at least moving um, in a decent way on Monday, and maybe I will trade. I haven't decided yet, but I'm not writing off Monday or Tuesday just yet as no trade days, because just from some of my experience, we still do get pretty decent moves in the market. Okay, so I am going to add Friday's low onto my chart. And Friday's high was the previous week's high, so I won't put, I don't need to mark that twice. But yeah, I don't, you know, you can see how the market has really been consolidating lately, and it's just been in a really tight range. So I think, it may continue to be that way until Wednesday the 17th when we get the Fed funds rate decision. Um, but let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions. Are you leaning bullish, bearish, or neutral heading into this week? Do you think that the market will react strongly in one way or another based on the PPI, CPI, preliminary consumer sentiment news? And just overall, what are your thoughts? How has it been trading in this market so far this year? All right, till the next video, I'll talk to you guys later.